Hello and welcome to Scouted by GreyB, where we bring you real innovations from noteworthy startups from different application areas. Today, we are going to talk with Carla Giacomelli, who is the CEO of Nano Transfer. Their innovation lies in designing vehicles for carrying genetic materials. It has the potential to change the world of healthcare. Carla comes with a ton of experience from her academic background and has been awarded the L'Oreal and UN Award for her innovations. She, along with her superstar team of Julia and Cecilia, are working on taking nanotransfer to a stage where its applications are in all the rare and genetic based diseases. So let's take a deep dive in. How did you think of this idea and what's the core technology that you guys are working on right now?
We have been working on nanomaterials and biomaterials for quite a long time in different areas, but well, just thinking about carriers or nanoparticles or whatever you want to call them, or nanovehicles, we are working on that for the last, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. So we have the experience to prepare them at the lab. We know them how to prepare them, how they behave in lab conditions, how they behave in biological fluids, how they interact with cell membranes, how they internalize cells, all the kind of things. We also have some studies on delivery of, say, model drugs or model molecules as drugs. And well, with all that together and combining the academic information we have, Cecilia and I have, then we came out with the idea of using those vehicles with together with genes to have gene therapies. I have to say at this point, maybe it's important to mention it, that Cecilia, she's a biotechnologist and I am a chemist. We are both coming from the academic side. We are both doctors in our areas. We are all both professors and researchers. So we have a, mine is longer because I'm older, but we have a long academic background or career. So on those academic basis, we decided to apply for this company builder, which is called GreyB, which is here in Argentina. And there, the idea was to just try to change a bit our mindset in the sense that we try to go from the academic to the business side. And so we thought vehicles were really a bottleneck for gene therapies. And then we understood that our vehicles have many advantages when you compare them to viral vectors, which are the usual vehicles applied in gene therapies, at least on the ones that are FDA approved. So there, and we also understood that the problem of gene therapies, maybe you don't know it, but there are more than 10,000 reported genetic diseases, and there are only about 40 or 50 FDA approved gene therapies. And so, and these 10,000 genetic diseases affect more or less 1 out of 15 people. So that's 500 million people. It's a lot. And actually the problem is not the genes or the genetic material, because there are a lot of information and tools and everything to put the right gene, but the bottleneck to solve the gene therapy's problem are the vehicles. And actually, I'm not the only one telling that. Of course, it's not only Nano Transfer working on that. There are many startups in the States, in Europe, in other sides of the world, working on vehicles which are non-viral, and it's kind of agreed that virals vectors were the first wave for these approved FDA approved therapies, and non-viral vectors will be the second wave to be more efficient and cost effective, especially cost effective for gene therapies to grow.
Got it. That gives us a lot of information. And maybe I'll ask some follow-up question if that's okay with you. I mean, whenever I talk to clients, whenever I talk to people on the life sciences side, especially on the gene editing side and the gene carrier side, carrier vehicle side, the first or the highlight word is it's very difficult, right? So it's very difficult. And at the same time, it takes a lot of time to go from research to a phase where it actually can be utilized, or a product can be launched, or medical professionals start using it. So again, I mean, can you dumb it down for our audience as to why it is difficult? Why does it take so much time? Of course, the complexity is one part. The second part is that the body may not actually receive it in a friendly manner. It may treat it as a foreign pathogen, and then it may start attacking. So the immune system becomes active. But what in general is the real problem that it takes so much time? Is it just these factors? Is it also the funding? Is it the lack of people innovating in this domain? What, according to you both, is something? Because I mean, 40 out of 10,000, it's a very strong indication that we are using Gen AI. We are going to the moon. We are designing so many things, but the medical side of things, on the genetic part, is something that's not as rapid as it usually should be, or it's expected.
Okay, I have to say this. We can prepare our vehicles, our non-viral vehicles, in a matter of, say, hours, and we don't
Wow.
need any genetic material for that. So it's all we do with our vehicles is chemistry. It's not biology. It's not biology. So I think one problem of viral vectors has to do with the fact that the procedure you need to have all together the vehicle together with the gene and everything, all these transfections you need, all these procedures are really complex, and they not always arrive to the right point, and there you really have a problem. So the production is a problem, and that makes everything slow, or slower than it should be. Let me put it that way. So our vehicles do not have that problem because of the chemical composition of our vehicles. Then they have a very high affinity for the phosphate backbone of any genetic material. So you can prepare your vehicles on one side, and then you have the genetic material on the other side, and then you can put them together just in a very simple step. So that's one very big advantage we have regarding or compared to viral vectors. The other point is, as you mentioned, that our vehicles are non-immunogenic because they are just inorganic. So nobody has any antibody against our vehicles. So every patient can be eligible for that. So that's also a very good point regarding our system. The other point, more just related to the regulation, is that there are in the market already some pharmaceutical agents with compositions similar to our vehicles. Those pharmaceutical agents are used as antacids or that kind of stuff. They are not in the nano size range. They don't have exactly the same properties as ours, but the general composition is already approved. So we believe that it will be easier to have approved therapy with our vehicles. I have
Understood.
to say too that you cannot go for an approbation for just the vehicles, because when you go for the to FDA, then you need to demonstrate two things:
Yes.
toxicology, or that your therapy is not toxic, but also efficiency. And then if you go just with the vehicles, you can go for the toxicology part, but you cannot show anything about efficiency. We have already demonstrated at least in vivo in mice, that our vehicles are non-toxic and non-immunogenic, and we used a chronic administration with redosing, and it's also a very big advantage when you compare our vehicles with viral vehicles or vectors. You cannot use all the FDA, at least mostly of them, which are approved, are one dose therapy. Because of that, you cannot use the same viral vector because of immunogenicity.
Got it. Got it.
So
That makes
our
sense.
vehicles can also be used for redosing. I'm sorry, and that's also, I think, it's a big step towards having better therapies and more efficient ones.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And maybe you kind of already answered this. I was coming to the FDA part. So let me ask you this. If somebody were to use nanotransfers designed vehicles, and then they figure out therapies for the already existing genetic diseases, do they in general have to go for FDA regulations? Do they have to submit for FDA approvals? Or
I'm sorry, I couldn't follow properly.
okay, so let
Your
me ask
question?
this question in another manner, Carla. So typically, big pharma would be your end clients. Would that be correct assumption? Yes. So once they integrate your vehicle into their own uh, therapeutic areas that they're designing, do they then in turn have to go through the FDA approval process? They do. They do. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Then, if we change our subject from technology to business, our business model is a co-development model in which
okay.
we are going to have agreements with pharmaceuticals, either small or big, I don't know. Just the idea is that we provide our vehicles to the pharmaceuticals doing gene therapies or having the genetic material, and then together we will go through the regulation steps and everything, and then the idea of uh, the idea of the business model is to have a front pay first from the pharmaceutical company, and then payments whenever you will get these milestones, mostly related to regulation. And at the end, we will have some benefits because of the sales.
Got it.
I didn't say that, but it's true that our vehicles can carry any genetic material, but for that process to be optimized, we need to change small things. So we can. Is why we say we have a library of vehicles. So I can have a kind of vehicle for one therapy and one which is little different for another therapy. So this in this model business I was talking about, the first upfront payment will be just to optimize this interaction between a particular gene and our vehicle.
Got it. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I was talking to another startup based out of UK, and they were developing microbes for, in general, removing smell from places, urinals, and all those kind of stuff. And they were working on that solution, growing those microbes and then supplying it to people. Now, one of the things, like you guys, I mean, they had a vast knowledge base because I mean, you did a lot of research, you have libraries, you have figured out or at least debated the different use cases for your library, your vehicles, so on and so forth. And one of the things that they were doing was using this knowledge not to supply or not just to collaborate, but also using this knowledge as a consulting model. That, hey, I mean, we understand this problem very, very well. We have this knowledge, even if it is not related to vehicles or gene mixing with vehicles and then used for therapies, we can still help you with other problem statements that you have because of the knowledge that we are sitting on. Have you guys ever considered such type of consulting model where it's not just about the one innovation, but it's about, in general, the knowledge that you have from the past 20 years of experience, collective experience that you guys have in biotech, bioinformatics, as well as physical chemistry.
Well, it's true what you are just saying, that our vehicles can be used for many different things, ranging from health up to, if you want, agriculture, because the idea is to store, to carry, and to delivery molecules. That's the point. And then, of course, depending on the molecule you are carrying and you are delivering, then you have an application or another. And it's true also what you said, that we know a lot about our particles, and then we will see a molecule and then we will think, okay, that molecule may work, and maybe it's something related to, I don't know, farming, or it can be also related to any other disease. So yeah, our focus nowadays has to do with gene therapy, but it can also be used, I don't know, with vaccines, which is kind of related to gene therapies. It can be used for cell therapies, which is also kind of related, but it can also be used for very different pharmaceutical agents or any other molecule. It's not for all the molecules. They need to have some particular structure and things, but it's really broad. Or very different fields where you can apply them.
Got it, got it. And maybe an unrelated question to the technology, but in general, I saw on your website that there is Cecilia, Carla, you, yourself, and then there is Julia. All three of you. How did you guys meet, and how did you form this leadership team? And uh, what's the story behind that?
Well, Cecilia and I, we have been working together for now 10 years, I think. Okay, so
Okay,
we know each other very well. We know we can go along very well. We have our discussions as everybody does, but it's particularly because of the science, and that's the way you can go, and you can advance in science when you have different points of view, and you compare one to another and that kind of things. So that's one very important point, and I think we're strong in that, and we have other people working with us and helping us, looking from different sides. So we really are, from the technology side, an interdisciplinary group or team. So I think that's okay. And then last year, at the end of last year, we had the pleasure to meet Julia. She's our CEO. She's the business woman of our team, and we are. I mean, we're really happy to have her. She helped us a lot on business, on how to deal with finances and that kind of stuff with banks. We don't know anything about that. And Julia, she's coming also from the health side. You know, when a baby born, and then you keep
yeah,
the.
yes. So I
I
have
don't
a
know how to say
two-year-old
it in
who
English. I'm
have gone through
sorry.
the process.
Yeah. Well, she's the president of a company here in Córdoba doing that, so she knows a lot of the health field, and
Got it.
of course she knows a lot about business. So for us, it's really a very good complement to our technology.
So then let me come back to the business part. So I know, I mean, you are a young company right now. Of course, the research is something that's very well done. But as a company, I mean, you guys are young and you're moving in the right direction. So maybe the question is, what does your journey from here on looks like? I mean, is it that, of course, you're at an initial stage, but are you already in the process of collaborating with clients? Are you at a stage where the deal is going to be the next year or next to next year? I mean, what's the timeline look like where we can hear more about Nano Transfer collaborating with big and small companies throughout the world? I mean, where we are at in that journey.
We would like to have agreements as soon as possible. So far, we have been trying, I mean, we have in vivo experiments, as I was saying before. but we also have many transfection experiments in cell lines, but they are lab cell lines. We have to go to primary cell lines, and we think that whenever we will be succeed with that, then we will be at the door of starting collaborations for ex vivo therapies. And in the meantime, that would be 6 months or something, we will start talking. We already had conversations with different pharmas just to validate our business model, our technology, and that kind of stuff. But we now need to sit down with them and talk about business and agreements. And well, we don't have many possibilities here in Argentina. Maybe one or two pharmas could be. We are trying to get into the Brazilian market as a first step to go into the real market, which is the US.
Got it.
So yeah, we are now working on strategies to start conversations with pharmas. I say either small or big pharmas to convince them that our vehicles are good enough to try
Got it.
a new
Got it.
therapy.
And I wish you good luck. I think when I heard about your technology that it's inorganic, it will not be affected by the immune system of the body. It does not matter. I mean, it's agnostic, gene agnostic. I mean, it can carry anything. I thought, I mean, this is revolutionary, and people will come to this like candy. I mean, this is for big pharma. I mean, it's such a long-standing problem. I mean, everybody is looking at or trying to find some solution of that nature. What, in your case, would be the step that will enable this? Is it that more people should hear about nanotransfer? Is it that you have to talk to more people or go to more conferences? Is it that people who are in big pharma, why in general would they not come to you very, very rapidly? Because I mean, as far as I read on the website and heard you in some interviews, this is something that's very attractive to big pharma. I mean, it solves a lot of problems. So what's the next step which will enable this to happen with?
As far as I understand, our next step is to be able to have an international networking. So I'm not. I don't think any pharma will come to us. I think we have to go there. But it's great to. I mean, to be at the radar. I don't know how to say it in English. For everybody. So far, we have our webpage, our LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. Unknown here in Argentina and in some countries in Latam. We have been talking to some funds in Chile, in Brazil, and in Mexico. But it would be great to be able to broaden that network, not only for funding but also for possible clients, which in our case are pharmaceutical companies.
Absolutely. Got it. That makes sense. I mean, I can tell you that the problem is there. So we have a lot of big pharma clients who actually talk about this problem, not just based out of US, but also out of France. A lot of people actually ask us, and they do not tell us the problem statement, but rather something like, hey, find me 5 startups that are actually working on using AI to make this process much, much faster, because it takes a lot of time, the development, and there is a lot of manual effort involved. So is there something that's happening? So in general, when I look at this technology, when I look at this space of genetic engineering, CRISPR, and the type of impact it has, there are big pharma who is interested in this. They are looking for such kind of information, and hence I asked that question, because I can see the need. I'm on the other side talking to clients. They use us to figure out these kind of companies, and we actually give them. I think in one of the studies your name also came, but it was still companies to watch for in the future. I mean, that's the category that you were in, and then that's how we know about you. But I think there is need and there is a solution. I think the only space or only missing part is how do you make them talk to each other. And I think you guys are already doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't tell it before, but we do have, for instance, an NDA with Polyplus, which now I think is part of Sartorius. As I was mentioned, we were talking with companies at the beginning of our process just because of our business model, which is not new, it's not nanotransfers, but it's just something regular in this kind of business. And we were also validating the problem, which is there, as you said, and our technology. So we think that now it's time for us to have these links, as you said, and start talking about business.
Got it. Again, one thing that I saw a lot of startups doing was there are acceleration or accelerator programs at a lot of big pharma companies. And usually they call people to collaborate, and more often than not, the funding required and the infrastructure required is supplied by them so that the maturity cycle gets very, very speeded up or very, very quick because of the support from big pharma. I'm sure you guys are already looking at it, but that's where people are also using us. That suggest me 5 companies who will be willing to participate in these accelerated programs and take our funding and collaborate.
We are at the moment in this acceleration program from Chile, which is the Ganesha Lab. Maybe you know it.
Yeah.
One of the purposes is just to go at least to the States or Miami at the first site and start this soft landing in other parts of the world. You can imagine that coming from from Cordoba, Argentina, it's not easy, or sometimes we even don't know, or we don't get the right information for those kind of programs you are talking about now. And it would be great for us if we may access any site, webpage, or whatever to know about this financing or corporation accelerations.
Absolutely. I mean, if any such opportunities come to us, of course, I will directly supply and connect you to them. Yeah,
Would be
we will
great.
do that. Yeah. Then one question that I forgot to ask, and this is about the technologies. So you did mention that it's agnostic and it's something that can work in a lot of area. But are there any therapeutic areas that you are targeting? Is it that first you are going to work on the cancer side of things or others? I mean, is there a research that's been narrowed down that this is the first area that we are going to target and then move on to other genetic diseases?
Well, I didn't tell you what I'm talking. What I'm going to do now. We can. The surface properties of our vehicles are also very interesting, and then you can modify those to have cell targeting for in vivo therapies. So, but that takes time. We are working on that in this right moment. There's someone in the lab working on that. So we think that our faster route would be ex vivo because we don't need those modifications yet, and we already know that our particles without modifications are non-toxic, non-immunogenic, and that kind of stuff. And then it would be, we were thinking about primary immunodeficiencies as the first step because there are in altogether 500 diseases. They are affecting inborn babies. The approved ones are one shot. They're very expensive. They cannot be retreated because of what we were talking about before. So we think that would be a fast track for our vehicles.
Understood. That makes sense. So Carla, I have 2 more questions. One is related to the patent side of things, right? So are you guys also filing patents about your technology? Are you protecting it? Do you also have plans to license it to as a monetary system or as collaboration system with other players? Is that in the pipeline?
We filed a PCT that was at the end of last year. It got published a week ago or something like that. And we did the same with Argentina because Argentina is not part of the PCT agreement, so we have both. And our idea in our business model is to keep our patent, to have our vehicles prepared from our side. And because of this optimization step, we need to optimize for every gene, which we think or we are planning to do it. Just yeah, as you said, artificial intelligence. I mean, we are not going to use the patent to monetize anything.
Yes, got it. Got it.
So we will not license it. I mean, that's what I was trying to say.
Got it. So monetization is not on the table, but you guys are consciously and
Not from the
actively.
patent, and again, it
Okay.
has to do with the business model. So, with the idea of having out the production of the vehicles from our side
Got
and
it.
develop
Understood.
the therapy together with the pharma. And
Understood.
as I was just saying before, it's really necessary to have this optimization step to be sure that everything is okay and that you get an efficient self-reflection.
Got it.
And
So
we believe we can do it in a very good basis.
and your belief is right because you are the originators of this technology. So in general, maybe the next question is a follow up to this. So how much time? So imagine that there is a big pharma company that comes to you with requirements about a vehicle, and then you go on a collaboration mode or co-development mode with them, and your part is on the optimization part of the cellular vehicles. And then, so how much typically is the turnaround time, or how much time does it take for somebody who wants to use your technology to to a solution that they can then start using it? Of course, the approval part is something that they have to take care of, but what's the cycle when you are involved? What's the timeline?
If we are talking about genetic material,
Yes,
hard to say 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, but it shouldn't be more than 6 months.
got it. That makes sense, and that's a pretty fast timeline.
But I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so far we have no experience on that, so it's hard to uh, be accurate with the period of
Yeah, absolutely.
time.
I understand. I understand. But in general, even if it is an year, it's still pretty quick.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we already have an optimized system with our vehicles and plasmids. So it's
Yeah.
the way we show that we can transfect better than lipofectamine, say. So that's already optimized. So if the genetic material we get in that agreement is similar to the one we already have optimized, then it
Got it.
wouldn't take that long.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. And then the last question that I had was related to AI. So are you guys using AI in some manner? There is a revolution going on in terms of generative AI. Are you using some kind of tools, maybe as a soundboard to maybe verify or validate your research, or as some inputs, or maybe is there any use of AI in the field of genetic vehicles that you guys are applying right now?
Yeah, I think I was not clear enough just a bit earlier. Yeah, in these optimization steps, I mean, you can optimize by hand just one
Yeah.
system, but we
Yes.
believe we will have many systems. Then,
Yes.
for that, we need to have a library already as ready as possible for this optimization to be as short as possible. So there you need a
AI. Yes. Got it. Got it. And so, that was my last question, but in general, I wanted to ask you, we have been seeing the growth of AI not in one field, but every field. People are, so people who used to come to us, they now come to us to figure out if there is a tool which they can use, they can themselves use and do that work, right? So is there a trend? Is there something that you guys are seeing in your industry, in your areas, your technology of interest? What's your opinion? I mean, how is AI going to revolutionize the field of biotech, genetics, so on and so forth? Do you guys have any opinion on that?
You're asking about how would be the impact.
Yes, of AI on genetic engineering and biotech
I think
or
it's,
that's
I mean, in this kind of system where you need to optimize things becoming from the, I don't know, the composition, the separate properties,
yeah.
the that you already have many data to put together and to have them converge
Yeah.
uh, into a particular system. So there, it's very important for the optimization of the vehicles. And as far as I understand, it's the same for the genetic sequencing. But I'm not the expert. Cecilia is the one.
Oh, okay.
And of course, and also again, I'm not the expert there. On business and that kind of stuff.
Got it. But good. I think, I mean, now we have a good sense of what your research and what both of you guys are working on. I think anybody who looks at our interaction will at least will be able to understand with one level deeper as to what your company is about, where you are in the technology maturity cycle, what are the good work that you are already doing, how what makes your technology agnostic, and why your cycle of providing solutions is much faster as compared to any other existing solutions out there. I think, yeah,
There, with the speed of the process, of course, if what we already want to, and we are working on that, if we add machine learning on how to improve or optimize our vehicles for a particular gene, that would, of course, fasten the process a lot. And
understood.
I mean, if you are asked what we need, we need that. I mean,
Okay.
from that side.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Machine
Got it.
learning has to optimize our system for any gene.
That makes sense because that makes it much faster also. That makes
Yeah,
it a bit easier also. And I think what I get a sense from you is that right now machine learning and AI and biotech, bioinformatics, in general, genetic engineering is at a stage where it's being used to handle large amount of data and validation and optimization as compared to generating something new. That process is still manual because it requires a lot of human intelligence as well as past research and past data that AI cannot handle it right now.
I have to say that, of course, we will not have as many data as astronomies
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
but just to optimize our system, we do have different uh, variables that you need to optimize. And then when you come to this multiple dimension problem, it's very useful to have those kind of tools.
got it. Got it. That makes sense. Good. Then I think those were the questions, Carlos, that I wanted to ask you guys. And I think, I mean, it's very refreshing to see three women leading the stage for this kind of revolutionary thing that's going on. And I'm personally very optimistic and hopeful to see, I mean, or hear more about nano transfer and the deals that you guys can make. And I think I really like your, I mean, the quote that you have put on your website that every gene tells a story, and then future of health for all. I mean, I think that's an all-inclusive tagline, and it gives a very optimistic picture for the future. So,
Yeah,
very of the best luck to you guys, and
thanks.
very good talking to you. And thank you again for your time. Uh,
Thank
and
you.